Hello from Gardening at Dwensa here in Ireland, and you're very welcome to this February greenhouse update. So today we're going to take a quick look in the greenhouse because I have to tell you the weather has been so awful. It's just rained the whole time, and it's been so dull and it's been so windy that it's been impossible to make a greenhouse update. That, coupled with the fact that the greenhouse, of course, is packed full of plants, making it impossible to get a tripod in there. But anyway, today we're going to do our best. I'm going to show you round and show you what's in flower and what's looking good and what we have to look forward to. Okay, let's go in. And just to start this video, I think what we'll do is we'll walk down to the back of the greenhouse just to give you an idea of what we're talking about, of the scale we're talking about here and the plants that are here. And then when we get down to the end by the Cymbidium Orchids, we'll turn around and scan back up again. Does that work? Bubble wrap very much still in place and annoying me very much at the moment, but it'll come down soon. And now we're going to have a look over here just beyond the staging, where I have the majority of my Aeoniums here, and these are being kept dry through the winter. Now if we look carefully at them, you'll see that what they are mostly is just potted in dry compost, and these don't get a scrap of water over the winter, and they do just fine. And here we have Clivia just coming into flower. Clivia, of course, is a wonderful bright orange colour that just lights up wherever it lands. And this flower spike is doing really well. There's another one over there. And if we look behind, there's a third one and a fourth one. And I don't know what else is in here because it's hard to see without pulling the thing out. But if you are interested in how to take care of Clivia, I've of course made a video about it another time, and you can check that out. Now this one isn't completely open yet. Those flowers need to open a bit wider, and you can see that some of the buds are very definitely closed. Like so many South African bulbs, the way they present is that the flowers come from a central point and just keeps producing more buds and more buds and more buds. So when these ones go over, you just kind of nip them out, but make sure not to damage the new ones because you can have flowers for a very long time. Now we're going to have a proper look at the plants I have here on the staging. A variety of, well, things that I love. South African bulbs, some succulents, some really pretty things, and some of them are looking fabulous at the moment. And we're just going to dive in and have a look. Now we're not going to be distracted by colours down there. We're going to take a proper look at these things and talk them through. But where to start? Now I said I wasn't going to get distracted by bright colours, but it's so hard not to. And what we're looking at here is the spike of an aloe that has decided to droop. So this plant is now in flower, and if we can see these tubular blooms with the kind of little anthers poking out at the base. Really pretty thing. And the plant itself is really very handsome. So this is Aloe variegata, or more correctly Gonialoe variegata, and you can see why it's called variegated. It has all of these beautiful markings on it. and 3 little babies just poking up there. So this plant has done really well, and I've seen it as it matures. It can tend to get quite leggy and just grow up and up and up. So what I'm going to do is not remove those 3 babies at the base. I'm going to leave them in the hope that it'll make a nice kind of rounded clump rather than a very leggy thing, and we'll see how that goes. So I'm very pleased with how that's looking at the moment. And oh yeah, just behind it we have an Echeveria. Right, so that's the body of the Echeveria, and there's the spike, and it goes here behind this plant and over here. Wow. So this is an Echeveria, the Duchess of Nuremberg, I believe, and it is going to flower. And right beside it we have a Veltheimia, which is a South African bulb, and there we can see how much of a bulb it is. Oh, what's that little leaf there? That's not a second spike, is it? No, it's just a light leaf. And this is one that produces lovely wavy leaves, which looks super. And this is the yellow variety called Yellow Flame, and it is just turning. So it was quite green when it opened first, but now we can see that it's beginning to yellow up. Very, very nice with those green tips. And do you see how the individual florets are all a bit wavy, like they're doing a dance? I suppose that they were leaning against something when it was early on in their development, but I think it looks great. Like they've got a little bit of choreography going on. And here we have the trio of the aloe we just looked at. A cyclamen in the middle, and cyclamen persicum hybrids do so beautifully in a frost-free greenhouse. They really are, you know, a very, very good plant to have, with gorgeous foliage and gorgeous flowers that can vary in colour depending on how cold it is. I believe when I bought this it was originally white, but look at it now. And these go dormant in the summer, so yeah, a great, great plant to have in the greenhouse, doing so well. And just beside it we have some Sparaxis, which is a bulb easily obtained here in Ireland, but they force it so that it actually flowers in the summer, whereas this is a plant that wants to flower in winter, and that's what it does in its native South Africa. So as you can see, I've managed to normalize this plant, although I'm not sure I'm going to get any flowers. And there behind it we have the Veltamia. And just moving a step back, oh look, it's such a dull day, it's hard to see, but just there on the left we have some beautiful flowers from the Algerian Iris. Now let's see if we can have a look at them properly. So this is an iris that is perfectly hardy in my part of the world, provided it is in a very well drained position, and it will flower in deadly winter. The only disadvantage of that is that if you have bad weather at the time that it's creating buds or flowers, it can wreck them. And you can see that the flowers really are quite delicate. There's some holes in that, whether it was something nibbling on it or I don't know. So they're pretty, aren't they? Now this variety is called Walter Butt, not water butt. If you try Googling, that's all you're going to get. But this has nothing to do with a water butt. This is Walter Butt, and it looks absolutely fabulous. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to plant it in the garden or just leave it in the greenhouse, because it does make a super pot plant. And directly to its left we have another cyclamen, looking super. Again with these colours that are somewhere between white and pink, but the gorgeous, gorgeous leaves that we cannot forget about. And to its left we have a bulb that is just thinking about flowering. This one here is Scilla peruviana, which I don't think comes from Peru at all, but it produces a beautiful, beautiful blue flower. And while this is beginning to bud up, it really looks quite spectacular. So I can't wait for that. Now that one is doing really well, but there was another bud, so I think I have 2 bulbs here. That one doesn't look great. I think it may have blasted for some reason, but this one is going to be super. And this is a plant you can get quite easily in Ireland anyway, and it's a great thing for a greenhouse. Just beside it we have an Aeonium, and this is a no ID variegated one which has a lot of yellow in it. Really, really pretty thing, and it's doing so well. Okay, so there's me jumping around like a lula again, when what I should be doing is focusing on the plants kind of one at a time. Although we are not going to get the chance to look at them all because there's just so many. Okay, let's have a look at this. Now this is Albuca spiralis, which is grown for its leaves, for its curly hair leaves, which look really quirky sitting like that above the soil. And this one is going to flower for me. Look at that. I'm not sure what the flowers are going to look like. I haven't looked it up, but Albuca flowers in general aren't really fabulous. They're very white and quite insignificant really, but we'll see how this one works out. The only thing I'm a bit disappointed at is how the foliage seems to have gone to pot a bit as the flower comes up, but maybe that's just what the plants does. Some plants are like that. Once they start to flower, the foliage deteriorates a bit, but it should bounce back. And behind it, 2 cactuses. Yes, I forgot to mention my labels. And you will notice as we go around the greenhouse today, oh, there's a very complete name, isn't it? No species at all. I don't know what species this cactus is. But you'll notice as we go around the greenhouse today that there is a new labelling system in place. And I was bought a labeler that prints labels just recently. And working with my plant database, have been going through and just printing out labels for everything in pots in the greenhouse and just putting them on clean new labels. And this is so much better for a couple of reasons. Number one is that it'll be easier for me to read with my deteriorating eyesight. Yes, I do know that this shouldn't be written all in block capitals, but it was the way to make it as legible as possible for me. And the second reason why these labels are so great is that, of course, they won't be washed off. So when you write on a label in pencil and then water falls on it, very often it just kind of wipes off and you can be left with a mystery. So this job has taken a little bit of time, but I think I'm nearly there. There's one I missed. There are a couple I have missed that I have to buy some more tape. It's a good plant, isn't it? So many of these succulents are really architectural. That reminds me of a euphorbia actually, but it's not. It's a Crassula, as we saw from the label. I'll get a nice label on that soon. And here we have my Echeveria Compton Carousel. Right, let's try and get a close-up of this. But I have to tell you, I have some sad news, because this plant I divided last summer, and I divided it in 2 and took a cutting. And the cutting promptly died, and the other division, has also died. This is the one I rescued in winter, brought into the house, because I noticed it was doing badly, but it didn't work and it has died. So this is my only Compton Carousel left. Unfortunately, it's renowned as being a very tricky one to propagate. You can't propagate it from leaves. Well, you can, but it won't come true. You won't get the variegation. So I'll have to wait for it to produce a rosette again, which is way off. And here we have Gasteria Little Warty. Isn't it a brilliant name? I found out the ID for this one recently and was very happy to stick a label on it because Little Warty is such a super name. And you can see that the edges of the leaves here are kind of variegated. So over here we have one of my normal Gasterias. This one has had a bit too much sun, but it has no edging. So Little Warty is quite special in that it does have that extra feature. I like it a lot. And like the babies are true to the parent, so I can divide that maybe in the summer. And just coming down from the staging here, I wanted to show you some of my carnivorous plants. So this is Sarracenia Leucophila, and this is one of the ones that you saw me divide and pot up and put into planters. And Leucophila is just a little bit more delicate than the other ones, so it's come into the greenhouse. As you can see, I've cut back the foliage now, which is something you need to do with Sarracenia if you want them looking good, and just left the couple of pictures that were looking well. And soon, hopefully, I will have flowers on this, which would be great. Now, when you saw me do those planters, you will have noticed that I put no holes in the pots. But since then, what I've done is I've actually drilled a couple of holes in because it was sumping up a bit and becoming quite waterlogged. So just to let you know that. And moving from the top shelf down to the bottom, we have some of my larger South African bulbs, and I don't know, can you see that pink one there, right there in the middle? We'll go over and have a look at that now. So this is Veltamia Bractiata, and one I've had for very many years, giving me 4 spikes this year, which are just opening, not completely opened yet. But what I really love about this is the leaves. It has these lovely curly leaves, so it doesn't actually need to flower to look good. And you can see that these are bulbs down there. And you can also see that the stems are red in colour, which is an additional attractive feature. And yeah, pink flowers. And beside the Veltheimia, we have my Boophone, which is now too big to sit up in the shelving because I repotted it last summer into a much bigger pot, and it looks more comfortable and taller. Look at it. Anyway, I hope this will flower for me this summer. It has flowered once before, and I'm hoping that this coming summer is going to be another day for it. And of course, over here we have some of the giants, and this is my Brogmancia Sanguinia, with the paler leaves in front being my Sparaxis tree. And the Brogmancia is just finished flowering, although maybe I can see a flower or two. This thing just goes on, and it'll need a good prune when we get into a bit warmer weather. Look there, see more flowers coming, because this thing, wow, it's a monster. It's just loving these conditions. Now it's planted directly in the border, and I've cut it back at least twice last year and it's just making it grow bigger. And there we go. I'm sorry this is such a quick update with such poor light and such a shaky camera, but them's the odds. And the reason why I made this video is that one of my members requested it specifically, and who am I to turn her down? So there you go, Michelle, and thank you for watching. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video despite the odds, and I will see you on the next video. Bye!